Hey, it's Erin Alexander, and this is Rock Your Life. And have you ever had these thoughts in your mind or blocks in your life that you just thought, oh, it's just how it is, it's just how it's going to be? Nope, not so much. Today's guest, Dr. Erin Haskell, is an expert in how to reprogram your subconscious mind for success. She helps people all over the world transform their trauma and really birth their purpose and live their purpose. She is a doctor of divinity, and she's founder of the New Thought Global and Society. They're her awesome coaching program and groups that really are life changers and game changers for people all over the world. She's been a TV host and executive producer of a show called Good Morning La La Land, an international bestseller, a 2020 Walden Wisdom Award winner next to Oprah. I think you heard of her. And this conversation today is going to blow your mind because Dr. Erin really helps you understand how the subconscious mind is actually running the show and what you can do to actually shift those inner thoughts and beliefs so you can continue to expand and create what you desire. Yeah, baby. Let's talk to Dr. Erin. Dr. Erin, thank you so much for being here. It's so lovely to see your gorgeous face. I wish the audience could see your gorgeous face as well.
It's been a hot minute since I've seen you, sweetheart. So good. Your smile has always stayed in my consciousness because I remember our conversation when you were on my show on Good Morning Lala, and we were talking about smiling during Beyond Camera. And you've always stuck in my mind, always when I'm like, smile more, smile more. Yes, so good to be here with you, Erin.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Erin and I met a few years ago when I was on her TV show called Good Morning La La Land that she was the creator, executive producer, and host on. And what she's talking about is I coach a lot on how to show up powerfully on videos and how to be confident in videos. And one of my tricks is to smile while you're speaking, which is this whole, it's so hard to learn how to smile while speak, but I'm glad that stuck with you.
Mm-hmm. It's a big difference. Actually, it becomes more authentic as you do it more. And then I look back on old videos, I'm like, why do I look so sad or angry? I was like, this is so funny.
Right. I look like I want to punch somebody, but I love that. Well, I wanted to have you on today because I think you're such an amazing example of creating your reality and creating a business out of nothing. And you're a self-made multimillionaire and you teach people all over the world, these tools of manifestation and really how to tap into their own spirituality and their own guidance. And I just love what you share. And I love how you show up powerfully in the world. So I wanted you to share it with my audience here today.
Yeah. I remember years back being really frustrated, wanting to create stuff, but not being able to see projects through, starting, stopping, being overwhelmed. And, there is something that works. And so I'm super excited to have a conversation with you because I know there's so many people who have so many gifts to bring to this world. And it's frustrating when you can't figure out how to really create it. So yes, let's do this.
Yeah, it feels like so many people, what I hear from my clients and friends and, people on Instagram is that they feel stuck. People know they want something different in life, and it can be a job or a relationship or a body, there's, the better relationship with their kids. There's so many things that people desire to have a different experience around, but they might feel stuck in how to get there. So you are an expert at actually helping people get unstuck and actually creating this that they desire. Is that, and how do you describe it of what you do?
Sure. I mean, we help people birth their truth. And I think that the number one thing that's holding people back, we know is limited beliefs. We know it's in the subconscious mind for sure. But a lot of it is that people just don't know what they actually want. So they'll either, manifest a bunch of stuff and still be unfulfilled, or they won't be able to, they'll just going to sabotage it when they get there anyway. So the most important thing is having people get clear of what is it that they really want versus what the culture's told them or what they've seen in the magazines or the other influencers. So helping someone birth their truth is for sure, by far, even if I'm working with a top celebrity or a top CEO or a, single mother, it's always the exact same work every last time.
Wow. That's so, I love it when it all boils down to the same thing. Because I always say that too, the limiting beliefs, for years and years of coaching, it's it always boils down to, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I won't be loved. And so it's nothing's new, right? And none of us are have this new problem, right? We're not that special. We all have the same.
There's nothing special about your problems. You're human and we're all human. We have pretty much, because there's one mind, there's one consciousness, and hence we all have the same issues.
Yes. So the people that you've worked with for so many years, what would you say is the kind of top things that people come to you with challenges around?
I think what you just said, I think that people are like frustrated. They're going around in circles. They get overwhelmed. They don't know why they can't see things through. They know what they should do. Like we all know what we should eat, but then we don't eat that, right? Or we know we need to, get developed in our mindset or skill set, but we may kind of not ever actually do it. So I think a lot of it is just people can't figure out why they're stuck. They're trying to figure out why. They're trying to figure out how, but they can't even figure out why or what's holding them back. It's kind of like it's just in their subconscious. So they just they don't know what's really going on for sure.
And why don't you explain to us when you talk about it's in your subconscious, what does that mean?
Sure. So look, I teach universal law and how we are creating, how we manifest. And I always look at it like this, like if you had a car, we're not these bodies. If you had a car and you came into your car, no one ever gave you a manual. No one ever told you can go into first and second and third gear and put it in reverse. And this is how you put your blinker on. No one ever teaches us about how we work as individuals in the creative process with the universe. And so we basically are one with the one mind, the infinite universe, but we use it individually through our individual use of it, which is our soul. So we have all of our limited beliefs and programming that have come in from our lineage, from our parents, from everything, and it's actually on our DNA. So limited beliefs in the subconscious, we recognize is probably 98% of how we're, being able to do things is in the programming of the subconscious mind. So we have to deal with that. It's kind of like a computer, I'll say also. So if you look at the phone or computer, if you're on it, you can touch the computer. That's called the hardware. The body is considered the hardware. If you go inside of your phone or computer, you have software. Well, we have software as well. It's on our DNA. It's our programming. And then you can have a great computer, but there may be good memory or bad memory, right? But if you have the greatest computer, the greatest programming, the greatest memory, it's not going to do anything without the operator. It's the same with us. You're not your body. You're not your beliefs. You're the operator. You're the spiritual being operating through this body. So we have to be able to, just like your computer gets the spinning ball, it gets bad internet service, it has too many tabs open. It's exactly what's happening with the person's overwhelmed. They're not being able to get things done. They don't have good connection to source. So we have to reboot the computer system, clear it out, clear out the cache, get good internet service, right? And be able to really use our computer or this body to actually be efficient in life so that we can enjoy it and play some games.
That is such a great metaphor and analogy. And I'm laughing because that's exactly how I describe it to people, is the computer for the unconscious is like the software inside. And what we see, our conscious thoughts, are what we see like on the desktop or on the phone. So just to put it into like layman's terms, what we see through our eyes and what we experience is our conscious reality. But what you're saying is underneath the surface, in that hardware, the software that's actually in the computer running the show, that's in us running the show, is the subconscious. And we don't even know what's in there. And we don't even know what's running.
Well, and I wouldn't even go as far as that because you're looking through the lens of what your subconscious mind, you're perceiving through the subconscious mind. So even your eyes are viewing through a filter, and the filter is your programming. So no, I would not even say, it's all, that's part of the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is a part of you that's creating, that's consciously creating and deciding and all that. And the perception is actually an effect of the subconscious mind.
Yeah, that's cool. So it's your eyes are perceiving already through your unconscious thoughts and beliefs.
It's subconscious. We don't want to say unconscious because there's only consciousness in the universe, but it's subconscious. There's nothing unconscious in this entire universe. It's all consciousness, but it is subconscious because it's subjective to what we program it in through what we decide and all the beliefs and everything that we've chosen over the course of our lineage.
So for anyone listening, it's really to help understand what Dr. Erin is speaking of. It's like, think about an issue that you're having in your life, the place where you're spinning your wheel, your little Apple wheel is spinning. It's like, I'm stuck. I'm frozen.
I've had this a few times. Like, do I throw out the computer or do I reboot it or what do I do? Help! Helpline, support.
Who do I call? We call Dr. Erin. That's who we call when we have our own spinning wheel in our head. So it's funny because since I I told you right before we started, I just moved to Miami and moving and from LA to Miami. So I did a cross country move and it's no joke. I mean,
It's no joke.
it is no joke. It is a big move. And I thought, oh, it's fine. No, no, no. And girl, I'm telling you, from the minute the planning started to movers and and to getting here, it's, been 2-3 months process of this, and I'm not settled. Like I'm not sleeping, and I feel like I'm on edge all the time. So I'm literally in the space where I feel like that spinning wheel is like spinning, because it's just like I'm so not settled in my new home and the stress of moving and
Right.
And so I understand. So I'm like, oh, that's funny. I'm in that place with that spinning wheel. Like I need help. I need the internet help. I need the
But we
source
also
help.
have to know that your subconscious mind is one with the divine mind. So you're connected to the stars and the planets as well. So sometimes we think, oh, it's just because I moved to another area of the town or something's wrong with me, or what. It's no, there's so much going on that we're very complex, and we're the most advanced computer system ever, and we try and figure out logically. And it is not from a logical perspective what the culture's told us and what we've been programmed to think. It's something way, 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 way beyond that. And Ariana, you're not the only one feeling that. That is a collective thing going on right now, because there's a lot going on planetary wise. And I don't teach astrology, but I'm not, we teach oneness, and we understand that we are connected to everything. And so, it's not just the move. There's so much more going on for me too. It's been intense energy, man.
Yeah, and I think with obviously the last year and a half with the Armageddon, this thing called COVID happening, and the rug being pulled out of the whole world, it's quite clear that there's something going on when it affects the whole world. It's not an individual experience. It affected every single one of us on the planet.
No.
And so it's quite clear there's some big things happening and some moving and shaking. So I appreciate you saying that to me just personally, because I'm like, oh, right. Like, I don't have to feel like, oh, why can't I get it together?
Something's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you, honey. You're an amazing, incredible woman. That's for sure. Totally able. Totally able. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So since, with that being said, with so many shakeups and so many things changing in the last year and a half for, literally every single person on the planet, how do you guide someone through this? Like what are the first few steps to actually help someone,
it's really interesting. We were talking about this, which is really profound. Transformation has nothing about changing anything. Transformation has nothing about anything to do. Transformation happens the moment that you understand that you created all of it. And so how we get to that place and re-empower somebody is by them doing their trauma work, actually, because most of the limited beliefs, all of the limited beliefs are programmed in via trauma. And people go, well, I don't have trauma. Trauma is not the traditional sense of you were in, a car accident or you were in a major war. Trauma is a high state of a negative emotion because the subconscious mind is programmed through frequency and vibration. And the moment we're powerful spiritual being, the moment that we place a negative or positive meaning on anything, we instantaneously have a negative or positive emotion. So when something happens and we put the meaning that something's really bad, then we have a really, really high state of a negative emotion. And it is backed by what we call a command. I'm not enough. I'll never love again. I don't want to live, right? Whatever that command is, something's wrong with me. It impinges. It's called an engram, and it actually is a neurological imprinting, and it also tags the DNA. And so what we want to do to re-empower somebody and have them be able to have freedom of choice and be able to restore their true power is by recognizing and going back into those traumatic incidences, neutralizing them, and having them recognize that they created that one command that's been playing out for usually decades in their life.
Yeah. And I love that, because it's one thing about understanding and empowering that you're creating all of it. What I hear from people is then they go into the victim of like, but why would I do this? Why would I create this challenging experience? Why? And like blaming themselves. It goes into the blame game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A very common question would be like, well, how does the baby that's born to a crack addict mother, how does that baby choose that? Right? Because we're not the individual. That's been a lie. We're not, you and I are the same. We're one. Ariana, you know that, right? So it's like the lie is that it's the individual that's choosing it only. We've collectively chosen every last drop of everything that's been created in the universe, because we are source. We created all of it, and we're having the experience of the effect of everything we created. Right. So it's not just, that baby that's born to a crack addict mother. That's the culmination of the spiritual breakdown and bankruptcy that we're feeling as a collective. And that baby is the effect of that. But that baby also is the one consciousness that created all of that.
Yeah. So that I love you saying that. Can you also give another example so that anyone listening can really
So say, a common thing we find is that 9 out of 10 of the women that we work with also are codependent. They want to have successful careers, but until they deal with their codependency, they're not going to have success in their careers. And so a common thing is, well, he was a narcissist and he cheated on me and something's wrong. How did I choose that, right? They choose that by the identity. Identity is actually, we could call it limited beliefs, or we could call it false identity. The identity is I'm somebody that's not lovable. That's the command that went in. And hence, it's a vacuum in the universe. So you have to pull in the perfect experience to fulfill upon that command. And so it is. That's the only thing the universe says. So if you're somebody who's not lovable, you will always keep completing, bringing in people that are not available, that will prove your proof. You're like a lawyer. You're literally having a case with the universe, and you're like, I'm fighting for, I'm not lovable. And you're going to show every proof. You're going to pull in whatever proof and every circumstance you need to fulfill upon that command, because you commanded your subconscious mind, which is one with universal law. You set the polarity of the universe into place. That's how you created it. And trust me, I know it because I've been there. Mm-hmm. Yes. And it sucks. It sucks when you realize you created it and you're responsible, but then it's liberating at the same time. You're like, yeah, I did that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm.
I think that's one thing I laugh about is like taking responsibility. I'm like, yeah, because it sucks to take responsibility sometimes. I'm like, I don't want to really be responsible for my own life choices and my own actions and what shows up in my life. It's sometimes easier to just blame it on somebody else, but then I know within myself that that's not the truth. Yeah. And it's so sobering.
Not easier.
Oh, damn it. No, it's not easier. It's like, damn it. Like, it's so humbling to be like, you know what? I did, like you say, like I did it again. Like, how did I do this again? But at least I can laugh about it. I don't make myself wrong. But I feel like so many people do. This is where like the whip comes in to self of like, ugh, I'm so like, why would I do that to myself? And like, why? Because it's a good example of codependent women, because of course, like that's rampant, right? And it can be so subtle. Women cannot even understand that they're really codependent, but it's these sneaky ways it comes in. And so I just want anyone listening to understand that, like Dr. Erin said to me, like, you're not doing anything wrong. You're great. You're amazing. And we are all one, and we are all doing this together in this uncovering of truth, basically. So it's just important to understand that, like, yes, we take responsibility for our creations and not use it as a whip against ourselves at the same time.
Let's put it this way. We're creative. We create. That's all we do. And we can as is the cause and effect. And then there's another level of creating, which is the meaning that we put around things, right? So you could call in a terrible relationship and it is what it is. But the meaning that you put around it to say it's good or bad or something's wrong with me is a whole nother level. And we have to understand that, again, that if you create yourself and judge yourself, you're going to instantaneously, because you put a negative meaning around it, you're going to instantaneously have more negative meaning and emotions around it. So it's just, you're an infinite creator. And so if you want to judge yourself, just know you're going to create more negativity. You're going to create more, self-sabotage and whatever. And so it is what it is. And one day everyone has to grow up and adult and begin to take responsibility about what they're creating in their life.
Yeah. That's really powerful. And so for you in your life, what's an example of where this shows up for you? Of like, how do you work with yourself around things that come up?
As a spiritual practitioner, it's the most important thing. We practice principle. So that means things like non-judgment, because we recognize, for example, so let's just take, for example, all the political stuff going on in the world. It's hard to not get upset if you take a look at everything going on in the world. So as somebody who's like, okay, I know that my energy creates. And so I look at it and I think I can either get involved with everything out there in the world, or I've chosen to say, I'm going to choose to use my energy where I can use it for the highest good. And for me, that's developing, spiritually based entrepreneurs and practitioners and coaches and stuff. And so why even energize politics or whatever it is, because if I want to go into politics or if I have inspired action, then let's do that. If not, let's put our energy where it is used for the highest good. So every day in every way, I just ask myself, how can I be used for the highest good? And of course, that starts with yourself, loving yourself. Like, I got to, meditate. I've got to go work out. I've got to eat decent. I've got to get good sleep. Otherwise, I'm creating just a living hell. It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's like, trust me, I've created misery. I'm really good at it, and it's not very much fun. So let's try something else.
It's not right.
Yeah.
I had someone yesterday say, we were talking about happiness and being happy, and he said, he's like, I don't think that happiness is the end all be all. Like, it's not like the state to attain to. And I said, but it's a lot more fun than being in misery,
but happiness is a fleeting emotion. It's not sustainable. I think that having a mission and working for the highest good is sustainable. Happiness is very fleeting.
Yeah, right. And just like every emotion, because it's like there's no possible way for us to be in joy 24 hours a day, or happiness or anger or sadness or any of it. They're fleeting emotions. And so I love that's a really great point of view of just the question is, how can I be of service? How can I be in my highest good in each moment? And that leads to the next moment.
Because this biatch ain't ever going to be totally happy all the time. There's no way. But I can be committed to working for the highest good.
Yes.
That overcomes all my emotional stuff and all my, ups and downs and all that stuff that we still have as humans.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. I'm here with Dr. Erin Haskell, and you're listening to Rock Your Life with Erin Alexander on the Fun for Life Radio Network on Dash Radio.
You are listening to Fun for Life Radio, because the days are longer and fun in the sun is what the doctor ordered.
Okay, if you haven't listened to some of our other shows here on Fun for Life, oh my goodness, there are some really, really rocking shows you're going to love. One show that I listen to all the time is Pili Montilla's show, Truth in Tunes. Pili is a cultural music expert. She interviews musicians, songwriters, producers, all kinds of people in the music business from all over the world, and gets their inside stories of why they wrote the music, what their favorite songs are, what their inspirations are. She'll play some of their music on the air, and she just has really cool in-depth conversations with all of these artists. So definitely listen to Pili Montilla's Truth and Tunes. And I'm here with Dr. Erin Haskell, who is just rocking this conversation about creation and truth and oneness with the universe. And I'm also curious, Dr. Erin, is you said, kind of the first thing for people to do is to understand that you are the creator, that you are creating all of this experience for yourself. So once we've acknowledged that, then what do we do after that? Like, what do we do with this information when I'm in that space?
Sure. I mean, we're teaching universal law. We're teaching manifestation. And I think people have the concept that it's outside of yourself. Like, sometimes I'm manifesting, sometimes I'm not. No, you're manifesting 24/7. And universal law isn't something out there. It is how you work as a dynamic of your creative, how you create, right? So the step is first to basically neutralize your trauma and begin to restore freedom of choice again, okay? And the second step is really birthing your unique truth so that you know what your core values are and where you want to place your energy, because wherever we place our energy, it expands, right? If we place it on what we don't want, we get more of what we don't want. If we place it on what we do want, then we get more of creating that, right? So it's really getting clear of those two things. So we're really developing our mindset and our skill set. We teach embodiment. So if you want to have a great relationship, if you want to be, have a great career, if you want to have high vitality, it's really about embodiment and something, unique. I think all people are really getting that it's not about anything. There's no hack to it. You know what I mean? There's no short way to becoming a master. You've got to embody all of it, which means mastering your mind, mastering the skill set. So whatever it is, we call it the vibrational match. So if you want to be a multimillionaire, which is not necessarily what we teach to get something out there, but who do you need to become to be somebody that has the mental equivalent of being a multimillionaire and being of service and being a consciousness in the mindset. So that's really that's all.
That's it. That's it. No big thing.
Yeah.
I love that. So, because I think that there's so many misconceptions out there, so many myths about manifestation, and there's lots of books and there's lots of teachers. And I think everybody's take is, their own unique take. But I just find sometimes it's so simplified to think about the red Ferrari and you'll get the red Ferrari.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes me crazy.
Well, there's a couple things. Like Michael Bernard Beckwith has a really great example of that. And he says, there's two men that get a new car. One man actually has the consciousness that's the vibrational match. He's learned how to really have, the consciousness of having a beautiful new car. And there's another man that's a criminal, and he goes and gets the car, but he can't keep the car because he can't have insurance, and he's got to be hiding it from the cops all the time, right? So you can sit there and manifest a bunch of crap, but what we found is that either somebody will get it and they're still not fulfilled, or they just can't manifest it. And the point is actually going beyond that. We do not teach to manifest a bunch of stuff. Anytime we place our value, our worth, our saying we're finally going to get there, when it shows up and looks like this out there in the world, it's sure to be a disaster. It just doesn't work. It's really about what do I want to give in this world? Do I want to give expression? Do I want to give service? Do I want to give love? Because I am all that. The moment you try and attach onto something out there, that's called objectifying the world, and it's not stable. You're going to be a roller coaster. And that's why a lot of the people that quote, quote, manifest are hot messes. Let's face the fact, because they haven't gotten clear that it's not about getting anything in this life. It's about giving in this life.
I just love how you're speaking about all of this. It's so enlightening and so inspiring to hear your words and how you actually teach it. And it's that thing of when you think you're going to be fulfilled by something outside of you, it's a trick. Yeah.
It's never going to work.
It's never going to work. Every person comes to me and is like, I want to make more money. I mean, like, who doesn't want to make more money? Like, right.
Why? It's never going to be enough, just so you know.
Right? Yeah. And just so you know, I know Dr. Erin knows people like this. I know people like this. I know people who literally have $100 million in assets in bank accounts, and they are scared they're going to run out of money. It never ends. Mm-hmm. This, I've yet to meet someone who's like, you know what? I have enough money. I'm good.
Totally. There's a one producer, I was just telling a story about him. I forgot his name. He did all the movies for Jim Carrey. And Jim Carrey, as we know, said, I hope that all of you guys fulfill your dreams, get all the accolades, and make your multi-million dollars. So you realize that it'll never be enough. It's never going to complete you. And the gentleman who did it also did a documentary called I Am. And the point is, he had made all these millions of dollars. He had gotten a big estate over in Pasadena and a side of Los Angeles. And he had, I think, a biking accident one day and realized, he started questioning his life, and he started seeking, having a spiritual awakening. And he realized he said, I think that hoarding a bunch of stuff and having millions of dollars in the bank and assets is actually maybe a mental illness, because we're really not designed like that. We're designed to have a currency. That's why it's called currency. It's a currency of a flow of expression and exchange of energy. And so I think that as a culture, we may want to redefine what it means to be rich and be wealthy. For me, it's really having the highest experience and serving and flowing and giving and receiving. And it's really a flow is more of what it is than hoarding a bunch of stuff. In fact, they found that people that don't have to work, that just have passive income, they get more and more depressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes so much sense. And I've never thought of it that way. I've never heard anyone say that. It's currency because it's the current, because it's the flow, it's the giving and receiving. And what you're speaking into is instead of getting the thing, most people are like, how do I get the thing? Again, whatever it is, relationship, money, body, whatever it is. How do I get the thing? And you're saying, no, flip it. How do I give? How do I be of service? What do I want to give to the world? And that will lead you into, like you said earlier, what's for your highest good. And it's such a more open.
Yeah, that's the law of correlation. That is the law of correlation. The law of correlation is it's a mirror. So it's not like when we give out, say, love, we can't have attachment to it to come back from that one person. We give without attachment, and it will come back. It has to its law, but just not from the same way that you necessarily want it to. That's called outlining. We don't control how it shows up, but what we do is we give. And if you want love, you got to give love. If you want money, you've got to give value. If you want high vitality, you've got to give energy to your body, right? It's really, really basic. And I don't know why we're not taught this in elementary school. I think it's actually ridiculous that we're taught geography before we're taught how we use this body.
Wow, that's pretty fascinating to hear you again speak it in those words of, if you want vitality, you've got to, how did you say it? Tell me again.
Give energy. You've got to give energy. Yeah.
and into your body. If you want to experience more money, you've got to give value.
Give value.
If you want to experience more loving, you've got to give more loving. And it's so true that it like so rarely shows up how you think it's going to show up.
And it never shows up how you think it is. It's like, and the universe reflects in the most profound. It's like, I think the universe has the greatest joke, and it is our higher self. We don't say it's separate, but it really is this. It shows up in the funniest ways, and you're like, oh my gosh, like you're such. It's like it has a sixth sense of humor. The universe, like seriously,
right? It's so true. It's just so funny how I can pinpoint times in my life where I wanted this thing so bad, or wanted this job relationship, of course, and it completely came in a completely different way, and I was like, what? Like even with somebody that I'm dating now, like I've always have this like image of who I date, and it's so opposite of what I would ever pick out of a crowd, basically.
Right.
But this form came in a completely different way than I would have expected, and from a completely different source as well than I would have ever expected. And so I just laugh. I'm like, right, like what do I know? What do I know? Nothing.
Linear mind. Well, you know everything at your higher self. You know everything, but from an individual perspective, you're limited by all your programming,
Yes. This little like pea brain human experience that has this very limited vision that isn't necessarily, that is the collective, the all one, but it's sometimes I forget that. And I get my little pea brain and I think that's reality.
I always say the only disease is amnesia. It really is true. It's like we forget who we are. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So what do you do for yourself? Like, how do you continue to strengthen that relationship with who you really are, with this?
Yeah.
With this source?
For sure, meditation and prayer, and prayer is not just a man in the sky. Prayer meaning we don't pray for anything. We pray to become something, which is we expand consciousness. So we do spiritual mind treatment. So prayer, meditation, anything that's in the body too, just getting connected to Mother Nature, all that kind of stuff for sure. And when I don't, I'm a hot mess also. Like I'll spiral as well. And I'm like, oh, why am I spiraling? Oh, well, maybe it's because I haven't meditated in a couple of days. Duh. It's like, I forget also, how can I forget to meditate when it's the most important thing that I do in my life?
Yeah. Yeah. It just, right. I get it. We all just get off track sometimes. And it's good to know that, there's also this perception in the personal development world of, I don't know, attaining this like enlightenment. And that if you have issues, if you have bad days, then there must be something wrong that you're not enlightened. And it's like, we're human form. We're still in human form. Yeah. There's going to be bad days. We're going to forget. And I think the allowance and the compassion for that is tremendous.
Actually, I remember the day I realized that I considered myself to be enlightened was actually not in some enlightened out of body experience. It was when I was having a really crappy day and I was able to just go, oh, I'm having a crappy day. And I was like, oh, this is what enlightenment looks like, is you can actually just witness it and witness your human beingness and still know that I'm not that. This doesn't define me. And I don't have to judge myself anymore or make myself wrong. And that for me was actually when I was like set free.
My gosh. Yes. That's amazing. And how do you release judgments for yourself? Like, what's your process to release judgments?
I think it's fun to just become fascinated. I had a mentor years ago that was like, just become fascinated. Like, wow, it's really fascinating that I get to like judge myself, like, and just be kind of like curious about it. Like, why am I judging this? This is so interesting. Like, why do I think this is good or bad? Or like what, or someone else, you may have a girlfriend that's just complaining again. And you're like, so fascinating how she's using her energy to just energize what she doesn't want in life. And like, it becomes kind of like a fun game. I make it into kind of like a fun game all the time. And like, oh, I'm having a human experience right now. This is really rad. I get to judge myself, and just choose it, right? My mentor would also say, if you choose to eat like junk food or whatever, don't be like, oh, I shouldn't eat this. Like as if I'm not creating it or I'm not choosing it. It's like, I'm going to choose right now to eat crappy. And I'm going to consciously choose this so that I don't make myself and create myself as somebody who's not powerful.
Yeah. So that's cool. Even in the times when you're not on your best game, let's say, you're still honoring that you're choosing it and not making yourself wrong for it. And I love, and I love that you make it a game and you just get fascinated. That curiosity, I think, is the key to all of this, is just being curious instead of being upset by it. And I know for myself, like when you said like girlfriends that are complaining, I can get really annoyed at a girlfriend who like complains about men and then does the same thing all the time. And I'm always like, oh my God, seriously? Like, when are you going to learn? And I get mad, like I get angry, and I'm like, and that's not helpful. Like, why? So I'm judging her, which is myself.
You spot it, you got it. You're judging her for complaining, and then you're complaining about her, right? It's the same.
Exactly.
There's no difference. It's like, okay, yes, this would be me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it totally shows up with my mom. I mean, because of course, like any of your issues are going to show up with your family or
Totally.
your beloved partner or your family. Like that's the closest people where our stuff can come up the easiest.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The joke is like, if you think you're enlightened, then go on vacation with your family.
Totally. We have girls that are coming in, they're like, oh, I've got all these supernatural abilities, but then they can't even like be in the same room with their mom. It's like, okay, so who cares if you can talk to ETs, but you can't be here? Like, seriously, like,
so
let's get it straight, you guys. Come on.
Oh my God, that's so funny. It's so true. Oh my God. Right. So it's that anytime we're upset with another, it's just judgment on self. We're just playing the whole cycle out again.
It just really sucks sometimes. You're like, damn it, it has nothing to do with anybody else. Like, I'm in this masterclass. I signed up for this masterclass. Okay, bring it on, universe. Bring on the crap so I can master it. Mm-hmm.
It's as I'm sure you have, I've read a lot of books and studied with different people. And one of the people that I love is Byron Katie. Mm-hmm. And she always talks about this, about how nothing is outside of us. Whatever I'm seeing in another person is simply myself. Whatever, whenever someone says unkind words to me, it's simply me speaking to myself. And because nothing is outside of me. And I have a good grasp on that. I'm not 100% there all the time, but at least I can catch myself. But it's a hard thing for me to help my clients or friends even understand. When I really, like you, like saying like, we are source, we are one with the universe. So can you explain that a little bit more for me and my audience?
Sure. I mean, I think that, our entire programming and all of our senses want to make us feel like we're separate and we're having this individual experience. But the truth is there's one source. There's only one source, and it is the source that's created the entire universe. And, I always think of like, how did this, we'll just go there, just go deep. Like, if we're already the omnipotent, we're already divine, why are we having this experience? We're having it to experience more of ourselves. And the only way to experience more of yourself, if you're omnipotent, is to invert it into a fractal of being limited. So as my mentor would say also, is we're here as masters of limitation. It's like playing a fun game with boundaries and barriers and rules, And, but Thomas Trode was a great teacher of understanding that we still create infinitely. We are, even science says that everything's connected energetically. So we are one. There's only one life. We don't die. We have these bodies, and we're here to experience, creating in this realm, in the 3D realm. And so everything's just for your own development, for you to experience yourself. And you have infinite ways of putting life together and seeing it from different perspectives. And hence, in universal law, we can create heaven or hell. We can create harmony or chaos. We can create division or divine. We can create all of it. It's your choice. And you get to have a choice for this relative experience. It's kind of like, I don't know, I'm sure people are listening. Some of them are parents. When you have your child and you put them on the jungle gym, there's some point in time that you have to let them fall to be able to learn how to, swing on the swings. They have to go without you at some point in time. And in order for them to learn, they have to have cause and effect of falling in order to know, oh, maybe I shouldn't run as fast, or maybe I need to pay attention when I run. And so it's the same thing. We're just being developed here. And with that comes the good, the bad, and all of it. That's it.
Yeah. Wow. That's a very succinct way of explaining it. And it's great because I love that how you describe it of we're here to experience limitations. It's this game we're playing in this human form to experience boundaries and judgments and limitations. So therefore none of it's wrong. None of it's bad.
Wrong.
Right.
None of it's bad.
Yeah. And so when we can really, that's in the background that I come from is this master's in spiritual psychology, which is a similar point of view as your universal thought. And it's that point of view that if we are source and we're creating everything, then nothing is bad. Even the catastrophes that happen and the, quote, horrible things that happen on the planet, we are creating this as source for some reason for this experience on planet Earth for this evolution.
Yeah. And it always comes back in. So say something's really extreme, say someone says, oh, well, how can sex trafficking be good? Or how can cancer be good? We have to know that those are perceptions of what is right or wrong. But we also recognize that there's a swing to everything, and everything that goes out has to come back to center. It's the laws of the universe. And so, yes, that's why we have laws and rules that we collectively choose, on this planet as well. But if you're something that you don't like on this planet, if it really bothers you, then that's a divine appointment to bring that back to neutrality. You are that divine source. And wherever you are seeing something off track in this life, that's your divine appointment, and for you to come to your purpose in this lifetime. So it's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm.
That's so lovely. If there's something that really bugs you, gets you triggered, then that's always the place to look of oh, this is my opportunity.
Yep, for sure. And in fact, that's how we birth people's purposes, through their trauma, to whatever's happened to them. That's actually is their purpose to whatever the calling is, the wisdom, because trauma minus emotions equals wisdom. That's what they're here to do. They're the culmination of everything that's happened that's not in harmony, and become that harmony in this lifetime and bring that harmony. So transforming the trauma and all the things that you feel like you really suffered or are suffering from is exactly where your calling is.
Wow, so cool. And so your program that you have is called Society. And so tell me about Society that you've created.
Yeah. Society, we are a community committed to developing spiritual entrepreneurs. So we help, everyone do their inner work, they're transforming the trauma, E4 trauma method, why I got the 2020 Walden Wisdom Award next to Oprah Winfrey for that process. And then going into business, skill set for people. And then we train and develop spiritual coaches to facilitate the E4 trauma method and all of our processes called the Truth Triangle and universal law stuff. And then we have spiritual practitioners, New Thought ministers, which are teachers, and then doctors of divinity. We're actually launching a Doctor of Divinity program, which will be a research project on E4 trauma method and past life regressions. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Super exciting.
It's so exciting. And I just want everyone listening to know that you've created all this. Mm-hmm. Like this is your business. And
yes. But we're in a lineage called New Thought Movement. So New Thought Movement has about 1,500 centers around the globe, unity and science of mind, nothing to do with Scientology, and divine science. And so it's a lineage of metaphysics, but the processes of E4 trauma and Truth Triangle, the coaching part of it is something that I've created out of that work. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Amazing. And just the businesses. I mean, the other things that you've created is that the show that you had for 3 or 4 years that you created, Good Morning La La Land.
Yeah, we had 3,600 people that we interviewed on that show.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So I'm just sharing that you've created so many amazing things in your life that you just keep going. And so there must be this inner drive, or what is it within you that just keeps creating, just going out there and doing it and putting yourself out there?
Well, I think we're all different of our genius that we bring to this world. And for me, it's like my thing. Like I love to get up and create. Like that's my jam. Some people like to be very social. Some people love to go want to do a sport. For me, that is my thing. I love to create. So I feel like my genius in this life is to take the spiritual principles that are here in the universe and put them into methodologies and ways of applying them and getting results in your life. So, I got obsessed with it because I was so suffering. I had a full-term stillborn at 22. I was date raped in high school. I was bulimic from 17 to 20. I just was suffering. I was one of those girls that looked pretty on the outside and I was miserable on the inside. And so for me, I hand my life over to this work because it gave me my life. It really, truly gave me my life.
Wow. And I think that's so important too. It's easy for people in today's world to look at Instagram and, TV people and celebrities and think that everyone is just like, oh, they've got this perfect life and they look great and everything. And everyone has a story and everyone has a challenge. And, we all have these things that we've gone through to get to where we are. And so it's important to, right? It's important to understand that too. Like Dr. Erin didn't just arrive here fabulously. Like there was some shit shows. A lot of work.
It still is a lot of work.
Still is. And that's what people say too, is like, when does it end? Like, when does this end? And I'm like,
never.
Well,
it's never
right. Like, right. This journey of life it's the journey.
You're in a master class. If you graduate, you won't be here. So it's never going to end.
Oh God, I don't want to graduate anytime soon then.
No, me either.
I got too much work to do.
So much fun. Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back with some hot seat questions for Dr. Erin. And this is Erin Alexander, and this is Rock Your Life with Erin Alexander.
You are listening to Fun for Life Radio, because fun has always been the name of the game.
Okay, we're back with Dr. Erin, and I'm Erin Alexander, if you didn't know who I am. Follow Dr. Erin at drerin.tv on all social platforms, and you probably hang out on Instagram the most. Is that your jam?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And if you're not following me, be sure to follow me at Erin Alexander. And Dr. Erin is drerin.tv. And I'm Erin, Arrine, Alexander, Alexander. And I have some hot seat questions for you, Dr. Erin.
Mm-hmm. Let's go.
Okay, let's go, baby. Okay, what is exciting for you? Like, what's next for you this year?
Honestly, I'm excited that my son's getting married and I'm going down to Costa Rica soon. So that's like something exciting. I didn't think I'd have a child that's going to be getting married at this point in my life. So that's really cool.
That's so fun. And that'll be so great to go to Costa Rica.
Yeah, right.
That's very cool. I've never been. I can't wait to go. It's one of the places I want to go
It's
visit.
beautiful.
Right? Everyone says it's so gorgeous. Okay, second question. What was the best thing to come out of this last year and a half of COVID for you?
I've been developed brilliantly and not so easily with the community. We have, hundreds of girls in our community, and building a community is no joke. Like, it demands you to get so clear of what your principles are, what policy is, which has been such a great thing because community mastery is part of the embodiment. And I actually think it's one of the greatest things that we're never taught, because we should have protocol in our lives, even if we're not running a business or a community. What's your protocol? What works for you, and how do you handle things in your life when X, Y, and Z happens? Like, what happens if a friend, doesn't call you, or, rips you off, or whatever it may be in life that can happen? How do you deal with it? Right? How do you deal with it? And so that's like one of the biggest things that I've been developed in the last couple of years, of really getting so clear and having policy and just having workability to everything.
Wow. That's so cool. It's good. And you have a very strong community. So you probably have a Facebook group too for Soulciety.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We have the most amazing community. I had no idea. Like, I knew I could deliver the goods as far as the teachings, but I had no idea. The girls will like fly and go on trips together. Like, we have best friends like across the world. Like, it's really amazing.
Wow. That's so cool. That's great. And then are you doing in-person events again this year?
Yes, we will be, but we've not booked anything yet, but we've just put all the emails in and are kind of in the process. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, definitely when you follow Dr. Erin on drerin.tv, she has a link in there where you can find out more about Soulciety and the programs that she has, and definitely get involved with that, because that's so exciting. It's such a good community. Mm-hmm. Okay. Next question. What would you tell your 21-year-old self?
Well, this is the entire reason why I created what I created, is for that exact reason. I thought about that little girl being in the mortician's house the day after having her stillborn baby, and not having any answers and not having any support. And that has been my driving factor of why I do what I do, because every 21-year-old, 22, I was 22 at that age, deserves to know the truth and deserves to have answers to be able to heal themselves.
Wow. That's so powerful. Wow. What a beautiful mission. What a tragic situation that has turned into such a beautiful mission for yourself and
such a blessing.
Such a blessing. Well, I am just so grateful to have you here today, Dr. Erin. You're just so delightful, so amazing, so wise, such a great teacher and leader. And I'm excited for everyone to hear this talk with you today. Thanks, Ariane. You're amazing. Your energy is always you're just a light, truly and truly. Thank you so much for everything you do. Oh, you're welcome. All right. Take care. We'll see you soon.